later on. I suppose they were used for stores, rooms, or any sort of associated, maybe even...
Basically cabin, then.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that was for storing coal in, because obviously I had a coal fire in the office.
Yeah.
This was obviously the cabin, but was originally the office, and this used to be the storeroom, which is centre door and 2 windows.
This is an odd thing, isn't it?
It's under much debate, this, what it is. I mean,
it's solid and it's right in the ground, isn't it? It doesn't move. If you kick it or move it, it is in. I think it must be part of some sort of weighbridge and it just got ended up.
The only thing I can think of...
It's bizarre.
The biggest giveaway is this slot, this machine slot in here. I think there would have been a square axle in here with a keeper. You've had a crane off this, a yard crane for use in this area, for lifting quite heavy blocks on and off wagons, because this is your incline head, and the incline wagons were special wagons compared to what was used as slab wagons around the quarry. They had one steel end on them, the open sides, or side sheets you could slot into them. So if they were running a slab from the mill, they'd have brought it here, and the best way of transferring it would have been using a crane. I can't see them taking the wagons all that distance around and interfering with traffic from the mill, when they could have just done it in the storage area here. So my guess, it's actually a pedestal for a crane base.
Because it is.
As unusual as it is.
It would kick it, but it is. I mean,
that's solid.
It's solid. It literally is in there.
So what a better thing
But the other thing is when they scrapped it, it didn't go.
A lot of things here didn't go, did it? There's a lot of steel work here, parts from the mill, tracks, axles, wagon bodies that never left here for scrap. It's now just a very expensive hitching post for sheep.
But I mean, considering it's been there, what, 100 years, almost 100 years, or it might have been there before the mine was shut, look how good condition it actually is, to be fair.
It's obviously a good cast iron piece, isn't it?
It's, you know, it's not rotten, it's in really good condition, considering, doesn't it?
But the other thing I'm seeing, if there's a mirror image of the top of that in the bottom, they've bolted something to it to keep it in the ground, that's probably, that is actually part of a handsaw. You know the hand-powered saws I was talking to you about before, where they cut the blocks?
Yeah.
They turn a cranking handle.
So that might have been part of that
This
whole
looks
thing.
like a cross-slide bed off one.
Right, and they just put it there.
There's not many of these survive because they obviously went out of favour as soon as power saws came in. So only the poorest quarries would probably have them in them to do the work of cutting slabs. This looks like it's come off one of the hand saws and been repurposed as a pedestal for a crane. So the only reason I can see why you'd stick it right in the middle of this area here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To have a crane mounted to it for picking blocks up and sorting your loads out, because there was 2 tracks here. Obviously they converged to one for the incline.
There's still some remaining over there, we'll see that in a sec.
But what's interesting, if you look at the 1920s ice map, there's actually a bridge over here that cuts out this track that used to go to the incline head in the 1900s. So obviously a lot of the traffic would uninterfere with the incline and bring a lot of stock to be stored here. But a lot of the roofing slates were kept round the side, we'll see that in a minute. But the incline, it's a completely other story to talk about.
Yeah.
We've shown the winding wheel sheaves, haven't we?
We have, yeah. We've already been up there.
Yeah, they're not winding wheels, they're sheaves. These are the same on the...
They're up there, but we'll cut that bit of video in and add it in. You've
got the D-side tramway in Glyndovesbury, which came up for the exchange siding, up the village incline to the level below Llyn Shed. They had a set of sheave wheels there. They went to a museum somewhere, I don't know where they are now, but later on, up the tramway from Llyn Shed to D-side Sod Quarry, there's another incline employing the same set of sheave wheels there too. And of course, exactly the same design as these. So that's, with these here, there's 6, and then above Molferner and the counterbalance incline, there's another set. So you had 8 sets of sheave wheels in use in this valley. So there's no surprise that when one broke, the cheapest option was to get them from here, because the cost of a new one would have been astronomical. And having known that they came here to extract one of these, it was obviously cheaper for them to get a second-hand one to repair theirs and to get new ones made. But they are the same colliery headgear type, with these spokes and the cast rim to them. The only difference here is they added a band brake round the outside of these, which were directly bolted on, and obviously using a band brake round, very powerful brake which acted on. The way they had these set up, 3/4 of the surface of the cable would run through that, you'd have a very powerful braking effect. Probably more powerful than the winding drum, hence why the distance was obviously more preferred here, because a lot of coal miners used to work here, so their influence would have come into play here. And that's why I think in this district you've got this sort of way of getting blocks down through sheave wheels instead of drums, which is conventional if you go, say, into the Gwynedd, where they're commonplace. And sheave wheels there are used underground because of lack of headroom. But here, drums are underground because they don't worry about headroom. But,
yeah.
but they're obviously a lot smaller.
Probably easier to make because they're actually just built into the ground, aren't they? And the ground around them essentially supporting them, isn't it, really?
The thing with a drum, it's got to sit in a wall.
Yeah,
sheave wheels, you can build it into a frame and support all around it. So I can see where they come from with the idea. Whoever started with this idea, we don't know, because if you go down the valley to above Valley Cruises, you've got the incline behind there, forget the name of it. That had a drum set into the rock, a very big wind up. There's an 8-foot diameter drum, very big for the sweats. And that used to operate that, that's it, the My Shuckling incline.
Right.
Hello, I've got people here. We have got visitors. So yeah, that used to operate that one down.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right.
do you want to have a look at this?
Let's have a look. Right, folks. I had to cut the video because with some guys come down from the mine, we had a quick chat with them. Then the heavens opened. We both got absolutely drenched. This is about 10 minutes after, and the sun, because the sun's quite hot, it's just, we've almost completely dried out, but you should have seen it. Didn't bring a coat, rookie mistake. The day forecast, we looked at loads of different weather forecasts. The day forecast was supposed to be really good. It's been on and off all day. I mean, it's still not great, probably. I mean, it's blue sky, it's beautiful. It literally was torrential. And like we said earlier in this video, there is nowhere to go. There's no shelter, nothing. So we're basically just cowering behind a wall over there. Oh no, up there, we're cowering behind a wall. Basically just trying to, panic, pull the gear away. But luckily this is working. I'll turn Adam on now. You should be able to hear him.
Hello.
There you go.
Welcome back.
It was horrible, wasn't it?
You got a bit wet.
You got me there. Yeah, you're soaking. My glasses were just drenched. Oh my
He's like,
days.
couldn't see your eyes for the speckles of water on your glasses.
No, we'll have a quick chat to some folks that just come out of the mine.
Yeah, they've been down the bottom, both levels.
That's it.
Interesting, guys.
And then, the heavens opened. Both of us haven't got coats. Rookie mistake.
Very heavy raindrops.
But thankfully, I've got everything in the bag in time. So anyway, let's pick up where we left off before the next lot of rain comes.
Well, we were up there. We're now on level 7. This level's interesting. We'll talk about it as soon as we're here. Building behind us, hand sawmill. Again, back to the old hand crank saws. They had 2 tables in here, and they were doing all the dressing and working the slate inside this building. If you look at the OS map to 1891, I think, there's tracks verging out of here behind us, run down here, off to the tips in the distance. There's also a line that runs in the mill, out the back, converges with another track over there, so they were definitely running material out of the mine over there into here to process. But it's interesting, I didn't realise until I did some research recently on this, they were actually doing practices in Denowig where they'd actually let a load down the incline, and just before the wagon reached the bottom of the incline, they'd counterbalance a load here onto it. So obviously hook a wagon on behind a wagon that had just come up to take it up to there. Quite an interesting way of doing it. I have seen this done in Bettycoed Slate Quarry, Hafford Lass. They do a similar system there where they obviously share an upcoming load. Obviously it's an empty wagon versus 2 fulls going down, so it's a full wagon of material going up. Obviously for further processing, we know not. Obviously this is the stuff that's lost with time. But the rubbing strip rail off the edge of the wall has actually ended up over there. I remember this wall complete with a wooden walkway across it. In the latter years just became a couple of wooden beams, so they've all sadly gone. The timber works now down here behind us in the former incline down to the bottom. But also worthy of note, we spoke about the wharf where the grass rope incline finishes, just to the edge of the green bracken there, where it goes back to natural grass. That is the area of the wharf to the right of this track that goes off slightly to the left here below these trees. That is where the first incline terminated. So right, we'll go back up to level 6 now. Oh yeah, interesting place. Yeah, this all came down about 8 years ago. And it keeps continuing to come down, but there was a bridge over this bit here to there.
It's just funny because I don't remember the bridge, and I probably would have been here the same way. Yeah,
I've got a photograph.
You remember
of me.
so much more of this than I do.
I'm sat on the timbers here. I actually sat on them. There's a photograph of me and my friend. I'm standing up and he's actually sat on it, and the mate took a photograph from here of us on it, and you wouldn't even think that was there now.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got some more fans. Look, woolies.
Yeah.
Oh, they've had the shave.
They've
look.
had the shave, yeah.
Oh,
Chilling out.
their heads look massive compared to the bodies now, don't they?
At least they've been nice and cool, that's the main thing.
And they got wet just like us.
Yeah.
That's why they're probably moving on. Sheeps. Do you want to go up to the incline base?
Which way, up here?
Yeah, we'll do that. Do you want to go up for the Valley of Doom?
Valley of Doom.
Yes, all this is recent that's come down here. Earthenware, look, James. Old cup. It's one of those cups we found at Differs, look.
Let's have a look.
With the markings on the side. That's the side of one of the old teacups, you can see that. But yeah, there's really early cups they used to use in these places. Obviously cheapest thing to get at the time. Earthenware from mining days.
Cheap.
There's a name for these, and I will remember one day and put it on the video, and hopefully James can find a link to a photograph of a complete cup.
Well, there you go, there's a bit of the old rope, expensive rope.
Yeah.
How much did you say it was when they re-roped it in the last time?
Oh, £500 it was. It's a lot of money for a rope.
In the 1930s or
Yeah.
that's 20s?
Interesting thing here, got a lot of clutter. I don't know how well what coal they use in this producer gas engine here, but you got a lot of clinker in it.
Bit more
Here
than
is
wire
the crib brake. This is referred to as a colliery idea. These two timbers, well, there's actually a pair of two and a pair of two. These actually counterbalance, so they would have had a device here to release these. So obviously they'd stick up. So they'd lift them, lower them to enable the wagon axle to pass over these to go down the incline. They're obviously anti-rollback devices, mechanically operated. The only one I've seen in the area, and actually unique to this mine. So yeah, I just found some what we call, I've forgot the name of it now.
Clinker.
Clinker. That's from the gas engine. Obviously poor quality coal. It's got very hot, that. Well, they've actually reinforced the braking pivot here, haven't they, for the incline, by encasing it in concrete and adding some more weight to it. You can see the
Big block here, look. Yeah.
the wear marks. The brake handle would have been on there if it's actually snapped off. But the pivot's all still here. Yeah, the actual pivot base. It's based like a crank, that's all. So you've got the fork rod.
Actually snapped that off there.
Yeah, best. I took the bolt out, but that means to get this out. Best blacksmithing, see the two joints in the steel, where they've actually fire welded it together here in the forge to create this braking rod. It's quite a long piece of steel. That's just some black pitch paint on here, look. Whether that's original, I don't know.
Yeah, could have been, couldn't it?
Is it pitch paint? I don't know, dear. It's not that well rusted there, but yeah, this is actually the brake rod for the brake bands on the wheels. And we said, so last time there was a bit of rail here.
Oh yeah, just before we turned off, we said, oh, you can still see a bit of track, and it looks like this has probably fallen off there, maybe fallen off and then
Yeah,
trapped
they've
that.
put quite a lot of weight on that. It is almost like that's fell back off, because they have added some slab blocks here to stop the brake rod pulling back.
Yeah.
There's such force on that handle, this probably must have shifted. And they've added this concrete screen to it. Once you see bits of it fell off here, it would have been once to put a time in there, you know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's all just fell off. I'll leave it there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously still moving. There's another block of granite here, look. But going back to this winch here that's buried, it's the only one on site with a proper ratchet pull on it here. Oh, so this is the hand crank axle. The main axle will be down here. It's still in there because the big gear's there. The idea of this is when they were bringing the counterbalance load up from that level 7 to here, obviously if the wagon hadn't finished this descent to the incline, to get the wagon from this level to here, they stopped the incline, a lot of braking force, sometimes the brakes must have stuck, and they must have used this to attach to the down-sending cable. The down-sending cable, it's a new word. The descending cable. They would have attached it and use this to obviously pull to get the brakes released, to get this to, because it's not obviously the distance here to get the cable to pull out. but the reason I think behind it was actually to get the thing to start up again. You'd have had all that cable down the hill, laying on rollers and sleepers, dragging. You'd have to start just to get a wagon from there to here. So I think this was installed to enable that to happen. If you think about it, they've travelled almost the whole length of the incline, they've attached another wagon to it, so they probably would have had to do, they obviously knew what was going on at the bottom of the incline to see how this worked. So I think that's how they got wagons from that level to this level, because there's no other inclines underground or above ground to connect that level with this main exit level. You know, this was the dispatch level. So the only reason I think that was there was for that use.
Off,
and it's interesting how this has remained here right up until after closure, which suggests to me that they were still using it right at the very end. The story goes back to the winchman that actually was employed here to do this, who gave me the story of the runaway, actually said that that was here to help start the incline. Now I thought, well, how is it to start the incline? And being too young at the time, didn't really understand what he meant by that. I thought it was to get the loads going, but you wouldn't need any help with that. What you needed help for was probably to start it if it stopped. Obviously to use reloading from a lower level to this level, that's why you'd use a device to help with that, and that's why this winch is here. How they attached it to the cable, I either think they probably wrapped the cable round or had some sort of fast clamp system on it, some reason to get it going.
Quick, wouldn't it? It'd be something
but
quick.
That's been lost with the passage of time. But yeah, you've got a lot of braking power out there, and I reckon the brakes would probably stick. Because if you're trying to get them to stop in a particular place, my own suggestion is there's no way of marking the position of that other than seeing it by line of sight or tying a rag on the rope or something. But that rag has got to travel the whole distance of the rope and come back up to know what it is. So you must have had some way of marking to know where that would have to stop to get it up here. But I've only gleaned this from what he said. I say that's 25-year-old information. He's long gone now. I can't ask him the same questions again. But
yeah, we're talking about this on the way up, weren't we? If you bring your folks in here, you just look. I mean, you get a scale from the camera of how far down this used to go. There's the A5 right there.
That's basically the base, isn't it?
It's, what would you say it is? Is it even quarter of a mile?
5/8 of a mile it is.
Down to the bottom.
In old measurements.
So you think about, I mean, look at the size of this cable. It's about an inch. I mean, yeah, probably over the last
Expanded
90 years it's rotted, but it's about an inch thick. And I mean, just this piece here is heavy. It's so heavy. Now imagine a piece of cable from here all the way down there. You'd never pull it. There's just no chance you'd ever pull it. It probably about, what, a couple of ton of cable just there? Just in weight, going all the way down this hill. I'd be right in thinking that, wouldn't I?
From memory, I think they only must have re-roped this once.
Yeah.
You know, they put a new piece of cable on between the lower wharf here, and then actually extend it down to the Penarth wharf at the railway. So they would have put a new cable on for that, and that would have given probably time to tweak it, because it was all brand new, so they found some faults in it. And I know they did move rolls around a lot, because I found rolls on the incline with newer wear marks. Looks like they've swapped them round to reposition them to obviously cope with the wear, or they've replaced worn rollers, but they must have had a lot of maintenance on this to keep this in action. I mean, it's a colossal undertaking. I mean, who these days would run a gravity incline of this length and this magnitude down the side of a mountain?
It's a long way.
Gravity and sheave wheels that are mounted high up behind the brakesman. You know, it's
it's just the distance, isn't it? I mean, I have no idea. Is it one of the longest ones around? What do you know? Which one is the longer? There must be one in the UK or Wales.
Do you know what? Without measuring this, and I'm pretty sure this is probably the longest in the area. The second contestant to this is the Maestro incline behind the Abbey Grange. That's a long incline.
Is it?
That's
it
really
doesn't
long.
Seem like it.
It doesn't, but because this disappears and also levels out a bit.
Yeah.
You can see here that, you know, it's longer in its breast. It dips.
Yeah.
That one goes down and disappears.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from far away, it looks shorter.
Yeah.
And this one looks longer.
Yeah.
Optical illusion. Have to measure them, won't we?
I suppose I could fly the drone across it. I could set a point from here then to the A5 and that would tell us, wouldn't it?
I'll leave that to you, but otherwise... Ex-coal miners worked here. They use sheave wheels in this part of the world outside and drums underground. And if you go to Bliner and then places, the drums were on the surface and the sheave wheels were put on the ground, such as Rossard and the areas.
It's obviously a few folks have been up here and having a nose.
Ah, this is the internet doing its work, you see.
Oh gosh.
So there's lovely granite sets here.
Oh wow, look at that. How cool is that? Just look at that. Still there, one of the wheels. You can see
cable's
the,
got up.
is that the brake mechanism there?
Yeah, band brake.
Oh, so there was a band attached to it, was
Yeah.
it? And they've unbolted
I
half
think you
of
can
that.
see a casting of one because they smashed it off.
So
There's
yeah,
a cast
so these
brake
bolts-
rim on it that would have been on here,
yeah.
like a shoe area. Obviously the band would rub on the upright. You see all the movement, look.
Wow, yeah, so it's kind of twisted.
Well, the axle box used to still be attached to this years ago, and that's disappeared now.
So the other one would have been in here.
You can see the other brake arm component pair in there, look.
Wow,
This is obviously double brake. The cable will come up, let's have a show you. You'd have the two wheels. I worked this out, the cable will come up that side, around the wheel, across, around this wheel, and back down here. So they were obviously, you know, it wasn't just one wheel, it was obviously two wheels.
Yeah. And then the two cables went next to each other back through that hole.
All I can think of is they put two wheels in for one reason only, and that is to get more braking power and surface area on the cable by doing it. Because if they just had one wheel, you'd only go over the top of 180 degrees of it.
Yeah.
Like this, you get 3/4 of both wheels and two big brand brakes. Gives you an idea how much weight was going down, the speed it was going. Hence that fateful day when the wagons broke loose and took off. The brakes were definitely powerful enough to do the job. Get some rope tied onto here and go down and then work out how much to ground the two wheels.
That's it.
And then a little bit extra, because I don't know if they used to crop the wire ropes, but because...
It would have been one big piece, it would have been impossible to make. Could they have made a piece this long?
No, I think they adjusted it by putting chains on the end of the cable. Because you think about it, as soon as it comes up, if you look at the early videos of Mulferner's number 2 incline, the right back number 2, when the wagons run up, the cable splays around, but there's more give in the chains attached to the end of the cable eye to the wagons.
Yeah.
Allows it to pull out the way quite quick.
Yeah.
The cable's quite stiff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I reckon they probably would have a section of chain on the end of this, but I've never been able to find the eyelet of this cable, at the top or bottom. But I reckon it's somewhere around there. There is a possibility this might have been jointed in the middle. I have seen a join on the cables where they've spliced two together to get them. I think the second time they re-roped this, the cost of the cable was £500 because it was an unstandard length. It's quite a long length. So something they hadn't done at that time, at that length.
It'd be really cool to see one of these sort of things in action, wouldn't it? But probably never happen.
Well,
the nearest you can get to see it in any kind of incline is the one into Norwich, that little motorised elevator style one, isn't it?
My garden is probably from behind the winding house to that level there, long. And I reckon I could put a 3-rail incline down with a passing loop in it. I've got enough materials to do it, and I'm going to try and do that, to run it with two wagons. Okay, it's going to take a long time to load one up with weight to pull an empty up and work out a system of braking it. I don't have to use a sheave wheel or a drum, but I would like to do that, you know.
The traditional way of doing it would be a drum, wouldn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely build a drum up. Cable drum's not strong enough, but you could use the planks off the outer drummer one to do that. There's a pine cone falling down in the wind. This goes to say every moment you're reminded that nature's taking this place back. It won't here long. So yeah, on the side here we've got some
pine cones.
Another a lot of pine cones.
Didn't realise.
Obviously, old doorway here to another building.
Pine cones.
I think this was a lot of the building and storage supplies and oils and that were kept in here in the early years. I forget what they were because they kept moving the use of those two buildings. The original office was the furthest one away. Next it was the actual workers' cabin. And later on it became a storeroom and the cabin moved next door for this level.
Yeah.
But this building was always, I don't know, was a store, and next to it this was a blacksmith shop. It's definitely, it also had the hallmarks. I mean the base of the forge is gone now, but there was actually a forge in here that's long gone. It was in the corner. But this is where they did a lot of the repairs to the wagons. This building appeared about 1885, this one. They put this in here. And of course the exit tramway, as you know, used to come round here around to the mill, but also went across here onto there. But you say the only giveaway now is the fact that there's a bit of this wall left here and a piece of that, but there was a lot more here 20 years ago. You could make out this. There are photographs going back that far. No doubt that when Alan John Richards surveyed the site, he would have photographs of this. Unfortunately, I've not seen them yet. I'm yet to actually get permission to see them. But so what I remember, there was a timber bridge over here for taking the wagons to that part. To obviously not interfere with any activity on the inclines running during the day. So yeah, you've got blacksmith shop there, the stores are there. The next building, I'm maybe just for timber store. So I know they had a building for storing a lot of timber here for the cranes and that. Or is it a carpenter's shop or one or two? I should have brought my notes with me today, people, because I know definitely that was a blacksmith shop. Because I remember parts of the forge being in there.
It looks like almost like they built one building next to the other. Or
yeah,
that's just a supporting wall.
This came in later.
Yeah.
That's on the early maps, then this came after.
Well, that's interesting.
There was a lot more of the woodwork left of this. You know, it looked like the roof had gone and the timber was still there. Mind just saying at Morferner, a lot of the roof is still on, part of that up there. All the tin sheeted part. Another coal box up.
Cool box on the side.
So yeah, we're on the exit tramway proper here from the main mill. Came round the unsupported wall, and obviously the lower tramway came in here for the maintenance of wagons and any other equipment that needed the attention of the blacksmith at the time. But as we go round to the 1919 mill floor, so on gather these are the early tips, and they basically brought a tramway round here. And on all the maps I've seen, any OS maps, it's never moved from this location. This has always been the main route of the exit tramway from the adit, and then later on from this mill. So, of course, you've ended up with a huge storage yard here, which over the years the walls collapsed. But what I do remember is nowadays you use telegraph poles for holding power lines, and that over here they had a number of timber structures up in the air which used to carry the power around to this part of the mine, because the dynamo, not generator, the dynamo used to be in that building over there where you see the line shaft, and obviously the power came around here to light this part of the mine up. But it never went any further than here. I think it lit up the couple of these buildings here, the office, the incline head, and probably that building down there if it's still in use at that time. But I have found the insulators, and I remember a timber structure. Actually, I think it was thrown behind the wall here years ago. The farmer moved it. Yeah, here's the remains of it. It's all collapsed on it, lot. So this big timber thing, if you come over here, James, remember this. It's a bit of unusual. Let's get see what I can get up. This piece here used to be attached to that there. And that used to stand over there up in the air with this piece facing the tip. And it was there for a few years, and then next time I came up it was over here, and this is where it's been ever since. But why it was this shape I don't know. But it used to have some isolators running in between the gap. Well, of course they've long gone. Yeah, I think they ran the wires between the two of them.
Weird.
Probably to stop them moving round. Probably couldn't afford insulated cables, so they just had bare wire. And they probably use that to space them. That's all I can think of. A really unusual way of doing things, but that used to stand literally there.
Yeah, but you're talking 1920s. I mean, it was very early in the evolution of electrical work, wasn't it? Like people were still finding ways of doing it, weren't they? You know. This place,
they did not skimp when they re-equipped it after the 1900s. They really went to town with it. After the First World War, sorry, they spent a lot of money here. They put a producer gas engine in. They built a new mill. They put electric into the mine, they put compressors in here. You know, they didn't skimp. They put anything any other modern quality time would have into it. And before then, it was all hand-powered saws. They did have a water power saw at the mill, which was a bit spasmodic with the water supply. You know, it was a bit hit and miss. I think they could have spent more money on the mine, but I don't know what the reasons were. But when they came back into reinvesting it, they really go to town with it. You know, these are the new miners' cottages built here. The old ones, as you know, are over here. If you walk down, you can just see the edge of the...
just see them, yeah.
Yeah, those depressions down there below that patch of heather, between the big tree blowing in the wind.
Just there.
The sheep are in it. That's
yeah.
the old Penarth cottages. They date from the early start of the mine. They obviously they abandoned them and brought the workers up here to the quarry into this barracks, which is obviously completely roofed. So they were here all the time. There's always people on site all the time, because they obviously, with a new investment, they wanted to maximise productivity. So they got the people living on site, and obviously there's always somebody here to mind the gas engine, or to keep an eye on the place on the weekends. So they say the rest is history. But we're going to have a look at the buildings and give you an idea of the layout of the place, because we did a bit last time, didn't we, uncovering some. But they did have 3 diamond saws here very, very early on. You're talking First World War era they came in to the area. I mean, that's quite an achievement in North Wales to have 3 of them. Most quarries only had 1.
And it's all driven by a gas engine, which I thought was weird, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's a steam engine, but no, it was a producer gas engine. It was 8 horsepower, built by Ruston Proctor. I haven't been able to figure out its number yet, because I don't know if Ray Hooley's doing the archives anymore. But it was sold from here. It did go. It's one of the things that actually sold quite quick at the auction, and it went over to the Penarth Slate quarry as a backup engine. Was it Penarth? No, I'm going to get this right now. I'm getting my history wrong. It went to the Carrog Slate mine, Carrog, where they had a 12 horsepower gas engine. The gas retorts are all still lying around the place in bits, but there's no sign of any part of the gas engine. So the engine actually was taken out and reused over there, but they didn't want the gas producer, because they had a very large gas producer for the one over there. And it was thought that when the Pelton wheel went dry in the summer and the gas engine went down, they still needed to pump the mine out. So when Rustons came to do the work on the big gas engine in Cambrian, this engine was brought in to run off the gas retorts. Obviously, I don't know that much about the gas retort, how it works, but they had fire bricks in them, and there was always continuously like using the pressure cooker to cook coal. They'd get the gas out, they'd clean it, they'd filter it, and they'd run that into the engine. Obviously, you would put it in a tank, but it required maintenance every 8 hours to keep it running. I remember speaking to Rona Bates in Carrog. She's passed away now, and she remembers Tommy Pump going up to the on a Saturday, Sunday morning and afternoon to put coal on the gas producer, keep the engine going, lubricate it, because it was still pumping. Even though he wasn't there all day, he still had a duty to keep the engine running. Of course, all these things are now gone with the passage of time, but I do know from that this engine was recycled once it left here.
It's strange, because it's essentially what houses back in the late 18th century and early 19th century coal gas, essentially.
Yes,
isn't
that's how they did it.
So it's coal gas.
You basically
as if you're watching this video, folks, know anything about coal gas, where houses in the UK, Wales, and parts of the world in the early days were lit by gas. But it wasn't like natural gas like we get now from deep sea
North
wells
Sea and that, yeah.
Produced. It's like a very unclean gas, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, so it's dirty. It's from coal.
Yeah. So basically, coal. It just basically heat up coal.
Still got the rails here. Look.
Yeah, that's it. That's still a bit of track here.
This is the rails, as we ripped up that one up, but the rails still run down here.
Oh, is that just rotted off?
It's been ripped up. Someone's grabbed it, pulled it up. Look, that's the foot of the rail. Look. But the rails actually still run under here and up to the mill. This wall, this used to be vertical. Now it's just all coming over. It's so sad, really.
It's probably tip moving this.
The ground here is dropping, because this is quite new compared to the rest of the mine.
Yeah.
So obviously this is always dropping down. You can see here the tips are now, they're all dropping away. But
again, it's from a standpoint of when you see the rest of the videos we'll put out on this mine, when you see underground, is they pulled probably more from underground than what we've seen that giant pit, which you've just seen us talking about, that huge pit.
The rails are in here. I did show them last time. You could see them really well here in the 90s. This wall's since come down, but the drainage trough and the mill here, the water lits used to run out. I don't know if there's some sort of culvert, but it ran through here into the tip over there. This was off all the saws. But yeah, you can see the rails are still here, look.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh yeah, that's one of the tracks.
And the other one's there, look. But the rails are actually still out here.
Yeah. Look at that, I didn't see it. There and there.
So these are on the...
Running down there.
1900 OS map, these rails are on here. They run round here and go into the mine before all this was built. All this buildings were built. There was a tramway coming out that had it around here and over there before they built any of this. And this literally came in at the end of the mine's life. They built all this. It appeared within the 30 years to the end of the life. So from 1900 to 1932, this was all put here, which is why the buildings are in far better condition than the rest, even though they look like they're all going for it. They're designed to have a roof on, so not having a roof, they're all collapsing now. But these were in really remarkable condition in the 90s. It was all excavated, the whole site. This was complete, this wall here, a lot of the buildings just like they were just from the roof putting back on them. They did test the stands of time for quite a while, but unfortunately it's just that what happens with the nature of the slate. So about a bit of a talk about the building. We're going to have a chat about that now, but obviously there's quite a few little buildings here. I don't know if you've got a mill office here, but I'm guessing these buildings were obviously storerooms or something for the mine. There's obviously a coal box here to keep the coal in. The building over there is the stores. They kept all the spares in there for the mine. And next door to that you had the where they kept the sand for the sand saw. The sand saw second hand. It came from the wharf mill. It was the first power saw they had fitted there, and it was driven by, I can't remember the name of this type of water turbine. It's not a Pelton, it's not a Gilks, it's something else. But it wasn't very reliable. It used to power this saw. So when they refitted the mine, they brought it up here and they got more use out of it up here. They enlarged the saw and modified it to suit the purposes of the mill. Obviously they put a carriage under it, which is unseen. Normally they just put blocks on and work them, but this could actually load the blocks onto wagons and put them under the saw where they're being cut, and then as soon as they were cut they'd run them out the side of the saw, bring the next ones in and cut them, you see. So that enabled the sand saw to be in constant use. Meanwhile in the mill you had 3 diamond saws in here, and at the back of them you had 3 rotary dressers for dressing the slate. Of course these all went to Malferner along with the get the name right now, the compressor left here as well. It wasn't an Ingersoll round, I can't think of the name of it. I've got it all written down, fortunately not with me. But we'll show you the marks of the diamond saw blades, because they were ahead of their time, the saws. I forget the manufacturer of them. They're Amos, but they're Amos with another company. They were built together, and the saws actually move on top of a travelling cradle driven by a worm gear to enable the whole saw couch to move, and the blocks just sat on timbers on the ground, enable them to be cut in that sort of fashion from the line shafting. I have done a drawing of this. I've seen remains of one somewhere else, and worked the measurements out to the bases here, and that's what I can tell was in this building. Very early. Of course later on these saws, you've seen the base from at Malferner in Glendovesbury. There's actually a base at Votty and Bowes base mill as well, where the 2 concrete pedals will stand up. But here it was a different setup of the same saw, an earlier version, but they did use diamond tips. You can tell by the cut marks it's nothing other than a diamond saw, because they've clearly cut straight into the granite sets without picking up. A normal standard saw wouldn't do that, which to me verifies that that's what they had in use here. Obviously with a French design, a diamond tip saw, so for marble core extraction. So we're going to have a look at that.
Yeah, we had a look at this before, haven't we? And it's quite interesting because the bits of wood are still on the floor, aren't they, I think?
They are. They're like railway sleepers that have just got on the ground.
There's not really
I was
much
told
to see
this
with
was
these,
a coal store, was kept in here. Not 100% if that's correct, but I had a few offices here for the quarry, and there was a storeroom. This was one of the little offices just to manage the mill. The mill manager's office was here. The storeroom was here. Obviously they blocked at the back end. What they were keeping here we don't know. And then you obviously got the blacksmiths. Used to keep a lot of the coal in here for the blacksmith's forge. I don't know why it wasn't kept around here, but I think they moved him over here later on. Because if you look in there, they put a half in the corner for him to operate. But I remember all this was still had the roof on it to an extent. But if you look behind us here, you got the Is that corner over there? I think it is.
Oh, there you go.
The old remains of it.
So that's an old wagon.
That's the old slab wagon base, yeah. It's not looking too good now, is it?
No.
Used to have all the bearings
It's
on that.
sorry for itself, isn't it?
The whole lot's looking pretty bad in here now, isn't it?
Yeah. See the slab wagon with the steel, some bits of wood there as well.
Like machine-based timbers, don't they, those?
And incidentally, this is this has an interesting story, doesn't it?
It does have an interesting story. We could tell you all about this.
The little bit of roof that is in here, and the modern nails.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bit of remains of these sheet there, look.
Is there?
Yeah, so I think that's the water tank off the back of the blacksmith's forge that's found its way in here. And then obviously later on.
Oh yeah, there's a bit of steel. Can you just see it, people? There's steel there.
It's been here a long time now, hasn't it?
And there's
All
a
this
bit
is
of
leaning,
a
look.
bit of tarp that was put there 20 years ago by some young whippersnappers. And then sandwiched underneath this. Yeah. Yeah, didn't have this in here originally. There we go.
There was a remains of a shelf in that corner, and there was piston ring halves on it, which I remember where they come from on site, but they did.
There's another example of the
I
how
don't see
brittle this
anything
stuff
left
gets
of them
to
now. I
cut.
think they've all gone.
Just completely, yeah. This door frame's still got the old hinges on it.
Yeah. A renewal in years ago, wasn't they?
Aye.
Carbon there. We have carbon batteries up here, did we?
Carbon.
Yeah, I was looking, there was like a remains of a battery there, wasn't there?
Weird.
Wet cell batteries used to use years ago for radios, didn't they?
Wet cell. Oh, yeah, could have been. Maybe they had a. Well, was it radio that days? It should have been telegraph, wouldn't it? Back that far back. And you say this is sand pit, this?
Yeah, so you lost me a bit here for a minute. Yeah, I did lift here last time, some of this up. See, where is it? Yeah, a lot of sand here for the saw. This, I see red sand. So you come from Ellesmere. Yeah, there's quite a lot of it in here, isn't there? Where is it? There. Oh, ants. Yeah, get the idea. You can see it, can't you? The sand. Yes, you've got a lot of.
Oh yeah, just see it.
Look, there's a bit of stone in there. Look from. But yeah, that's what they were using as the abrasive on the saw blades. The saw blades were just basically strips of steel, very thin, very long, probably about 8 to 10 feet long. I imagine. Look at the stroke for the saw, and then obviously put the sand on the surface of the slate where they marked to cut it, space the blades out, set the saw in motion. Now the saw had like a rocking action, like a cradle rocking, with the blade stretched between, and obviously with the sand on there you get a friction, which obviously would cut the slate. So you see some of the slate round here, you can see where sand saw's been, because they leave like a lip on the bottom. Those circular saws don't, they cut directly through the slate. So I don't know if you can see any around here now, but there was some slate in the balls here from that operation. Just watching our friend up there.
Always found something, hasn't he?
Yeah. But yeah,
what did those gents say it was?
Well, he said it was a Peregrine Falcon, didn't he?
Oh, Falcon, yeah.
And we spoke about the turntable that was here last time.
Yes. So we have actually been up here and filmed all this, but because
Yeah,
Adam's
those rails curve
got all his
round
info out, he's
right into the mill. They actually go into there. So they had a really sharp curve into there. There is a set of rails going back off down to level 7 behind you there. The set of rails run off this way.
Here.
Behind you here, James. I did actually excavate this some years ago to see if there's anything in the bottom of it. We found the remains of a centre and some old rollers. But yeah, the track used to, where the rail is there, it donates, but the track actually is still under the ground here, goes round that corner into there. There's a single blade point where this air receiver is over here.
Yeah,
what they
so
used to do,
it's not a boiler, people, it's an air tank.
this is great because this has moved all over here over the years. It keeps changing
people moving
places.
it around.
I first saw this, it was next door.
So it's got an aluminium fitting on it, is it? Or
No, that's the galvanised taper valve, isn't it, that? Yeah, I'm going to move it now, no, can I? Yeah, it was loose, I remember. Yeah, there's a taper valve, look. L and N over there. But yeah, it'd be a taper plug valve, that. Look inside, you see the port faces. So it's obviously had a few repairs to keep it from leaking, look.
They just put bolts in it?
Yeah, just put bolts in it.
You can tell it's all pre-welded, it's all just riveted together.
And I've never seen bridges like that before with a riveted mud hole door and like this. That's definitely asbestos.
Yeah.
Packing.
It was the way it was done.
So that was obviously it's coming over. Here we go. Whoa, big boy.
Yeah, it's been out in the elements for almost 100 years and it's, yeah.
So looking behind you with the trees coming out the old adit, this was the level, they get me levels right now, this is level 6, isn't it? This is the one that runs right back into the mine. If you go in the mine exploring, all the rails converge to come out this adit, which makes a lot of sense because this is the actual mill floor. This is the latter mill. Looking here, you had the line shafting running across here that drove the sandsaw. You see the remains of the belt drive marks on the wood there where the pedestal bearing sat. That's not off the wheel, that's actually the belt slipping off the wheel, touching the wood, so obviously you can see over the years it's touched that. And in the centre there'll be a great big crank. No, flywheel in the middle, the cranks are in here, in both these holes, and obviously the rods, there's just the twin rods to operate the sandsaw, so they basically have a motion, an eccentric effect, which will give you your forward and backward motion here. We're also noting on there used to be a screw gantry, so we raise and lower this, so obviously sandsaw could be lowered or raised, but the wagons would run under here. There's one of which the remains of the wheels one over there.
Yeah, we'll see that in a second.
They'd obviously load the slates on behind you by that tramway access point behind here. I don't think there was a crane, I think they just crowbarred the wagon slate off the wagons onto the saw table wagons. Then obviously pushed them into here, so as soon as they cut this, they'd wind it up, take the wagon out to there, and obviously take the blocks off, cut straight into the mill, put the new wagon under, obviously repeat the sawing process till all 3 wagons had gone through, then obviously reset it and start the process again. But as I say, it probably took 8-hour shift to get through the 3 wagons, just sawing them with the blocks. I don't know how effective sand saws are, but to go for this much effort to build one, it must have been quite a efficient means. But this steelwork is actually the framework of it.
It never actually stayed like that, did it? It
was actually upright, these were. They stood upright, both of them. They were both sort of like that. And this actually was the frame to hold the sandsaws in position. It's a colossal, massive thing. And yet this used to be down at the wharf mill down there. But you wouldn't require much effort to get this driving because you had a massive flywheel here, which the remains of can be seen. They can be seen on the floor down here, the smashed up halves of it. So obviously the saw never got sold on, given so much is left here. But if you look underneath the saw, you can still see the railway track the trolleys used to run on in here. That's actually the rail is actually here. Can't see it that well, but yeah, there's the rail. Used to run on that. On that rail head here.
There's a bit of bridge rail, that is it?
Yeah, they ran on that.
Wow.
So there'll be one there and one over there.
Yeah, there you go. As I was saying, you just see the
colossal flywheel.
Then there's another piece of it here.
You see the balance weight on this one, look, to offset the weight of the 2 crank rods, because obviously you used to travel the same speed off the operating the sandsaw backwards and forwards, which would actually swing like this. So it'd contact and lift up, and as it did that, there'd be a guy there minding it, just with a long bar with like an edge to it to push the sand in. That's why you could never leave a sandsaw unattended, because they'd run dry and the blades would get hot. You had to keep the sand in there at all times to keep it abrasively cutting. When you look under there's a massive piece of metal, looks very familiar to that piece that's standing up over there.
Oh,
you can see it?
Yeah, that's a very good point actually.
Very large piece of cast steel under there.
Remember that bit of metal we were talking about, folks?
To come up next winter, it's all died off, and have a look at that.
Yeah.
See if it is similar size.
Yeah, the first video we did up here, which was about a month and a half ago, yeah, there's vegetation wasn't here. This is all just dead. Oh, I was going to show you that little wagon, weren't we? The axle. Depending on what...
Yeah, I can actually see it, the flat belt actually drove off a pulley there, here.
Oh yeah, you see when Adam says line shaft, I mean you see these blocks. Then you can see, we'll have a look over there. So there's an actual shaft. It would have been a revolving shaft that spun, and there would have been a pulley on here and a belt going up and around it.
Quite a wide,
a
flat belt pulley for the leather belt to go around.
Yeah.
Looking at that diameter, it wasn't that big, was it?
Quite small.
So it must have been quite a slow operating machine. Hence why it took as long as it did to cut. But yeah, all this concrete.
Quite fast.
I mean, in fact, depending on how the rotation that line shaft was, I mean, that's quite a big wheel there to reduce the engine speed. So they must have had it set when they designed it.
Unless it was only a small stroke.
Well, I think these are eccentrics more than cranks, because a crank you wouldn't have a support bearer on either side, would you? Eccentric, you can put it onto a shaft, and obviously just have the oscillation movement. So you've always got an equal cut. With a crank, it's quite vicious. Eccentrics are more continuation.
But the other thing to look at is that's concrete. I mean, I'm guessing there's slate under here, but I mean, look at it.
I don't know so much. It might be one. It's a massive base. That's obviously a lot of force coming to and from it. You know, the back's colossal. It all comes down here. It's
this whole thing's a
very,
concrete
very
base.
expensive
So,
installation.
I mean, it all had to come up here via that incline.
They've shaped all this here. Look, see how they've done the corners here.
Yeah.
It's all shaped and finished. They've put a finishing coat on the concrete like this to protect it, which is all failing. But that is actually they've gone to the trouble of making rounded edges to the base.
So it's a substantial construction, isn't it, really?
And this timber work here must have been an issue put in to stop the line shaft trying to come and meet the saw.
But it's still there, which is interesting, isn't it?
What the hell have we got there? That looks interesting. What the hell's that? That's massive, whatever it is. It's a big bar. It's a big anchor, you reckon?
Anchor to hold it down.
I don't know.
It ain't moving, is it?
Great big thing.
But yeah, there's a bit of track there, and there's the edge of there's
a wheel.
So there you are. So the wagon is still here. So there's one wheel there, people. And then you look in line, there's the other wheel.
These were dug out by Alan John Richards. I think he did look for another one over here, but...
So if you're looking where we're looking here, let's put you in line with that wheel. If you see, it's in line with the edge, and then you can see the metalwork there. So the other wheel is under here. They're quite wide. We might be putting the other part of the video of us walking up the incline, like I've just said earlier on. This big wheel set's almost 1.5 meters wide.
Yeah, no, it's bigger than that.
It's quite a large gauge. And then, so yobbos or other people down time have pushed them down. There. And there's a couple of them just scattered around down here. Depending on what order the video goes out, you might have already seen us walking down there, coming up and talking about some of the artefacts down there.
This looks like they chuck all the waste on here, look.
Yeah.
Whether this is the wall of the building it was kept in, I don't know, but it makes sense to have a roof on it because you didn't want water mixing with sand, did you?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have a cutting action.
But again, it's been up here for all these years, and look how good a condition it still is in. I mean, yes, it's pitted, but I mean, amazing really, isn't it?
Titanic's in worse condition, and that's 1912, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of glass here, look. Window glass. Makes you wonder if they had, it's not bottled glass,
enclosed.
Yeah, it must have windows. There's the edge of the natural glass.
Do you think this would have been enclosed?
I would have thought so. This would have been probably open.
Wouldn't be very effective in the rain, would it?
No. No, a lot of these I've seen are actually in buildings. I mean, you wouldn't wait to fine weather to operate it, would you? You want it in the dry where the sand would do its job, because obviously when the sand gets wet, it doesn't displace itself, does it?
Yeah.
It sticks, and all the slate sludge that would be produced from it would stick with the sand. So I'm guessing they would have had a building on this.
Yeah.
But again, you're talking 1900s, 20s. Our big friend was around there, wasn't it? Wrinkly tin. So this would have had quite a lightweight wooden structure on it, I reckon, but it was glazed. I've done some drawings of this, so what I think would have been here, as I say, there's no photographs survive of this site, unfortunately, so unless some come to light, I'm just going to have to use artist license.
If anybody watching this knows of any photographs of anyone who's taken a photograph of it, I mean, we'd love to see it. It's such a shame that the only thing we have is some old maps and other such information, isn't it? So there's a timber there, look.
There's the old foot access up from the lower level here, look. This is where the path came up to the site from the lower level. But I think actually the miners coming up from Llydiot Park that live there in the cottages on the side of the A5. A lot of those were built for this mine. Not people know that. People that lived in Carrog just lived, but yeah, like Glyndovesy had Sun Terrace and those sort of places, and New Inn Terrace. This place had the row of terrace houses down there. Very own homestead for the place, as well as its own cottages on site. Yeah, we're losing the light now. So I've talked about this before. This incline was powered off the line shaft in. So if we go up here where those steps are.
Let me just show you this quickly because it's actually quite interesting. We'll go back to Adam in a sec, but yeah, look at this. You still have a bit of bridge rail.
Quite a nice winch mounting place, James.
Then look, Adam's directly in line for a drum.
Yeah.
And then you can also see up there the line shaft going across, and then we'll go in there in a second. You'll see some of the equipment that would have been mounted. You know where it all was as well, don't you?
Yes. Here, that's the drive coupling up there. If you come up the steps at here, you'll see this this clog wear on here. This is actually boot wear from the winch operator who come up the steps onto here. And then here you got in the wall the leather belt against burnt work here rubbing into the slate. That's quite a big diameter wheel. So this obviously was the drive shaft is here to the winch drum back here. It needs to take the power off that line shaft. I'm guessing, looking at the wear mark there, James, there would have been a freewheeling device up there, which is why that pillar's been built, to bolt it to it, so it could take the belt on and off. Because if you look on that beam there, see how it's got them wooden tabs on it?
Yeah.
That's obviously...
Weird that. I don't see that. I didn't even notice that because you can't really get that close to it. You can see how rusted out it is.
They're like sort of nails hanging down.
Yeah.
Galvanised nails.
Wow.
That was so they submerged that bearing in oil. Because these bearings used to be top fed.
Yeah.
But they encased it into like an oil reservoir, and they did that to the beams.
Yeah.
So they could put a box around it so it could fill the bearing full of oil. Because what the problem is here they had was they couldn't be going up there every 4 minutes to oil that, because all the machining had to go all the time. So they built a box up there and used to fill it up with oil with a big long spout can. Just fill it. That's what the woodwork is around that big block.
Weird.
It's how they got around the problem, isn't it? So yeah, you've got a line shaft that continued over there onto those super supports, which powered the sandsaw. Here you had the winding winch. Obviously you had the drive shaft here with a smaller gear. Now you had a bigger gear, I reckon, here with the drum on, which would have wound the wagons up. And taking this side must have had the brake on it.
Not in here. Some of there. What's that?
I'm entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure, James,
Bar that's been bent down.
This is oil residue, tallow that's just settled all on here, yeah. So they probably would have poured oil on it to keep it lubricated. But you can see clearly those are the mounts for the winch where it was bolted on a flat frame. Probably very similar to what you see in Aberlefenny and Rugach. They had a lot of hand winches there. This was obviously a modification of a hand winch powered by flat belt. It's the same, nothing much is left of it, but it gives you an idea what was here. And the telltale marks of the flat belt gives you an idea it was power driven. It's obviously facilitates lower incline, but this only came in the last 10 years of the mine's operation.
Yeah.
They did a lot of work on that lower level. Most of the blocks for this mill came from the lower level. They had a lot further to travel when they came out this adit. But yeah, if you go and you look over it, you can see the engine base. That's the Ruston engine base there. It's obviously, again in the concrete, you can see flat belt marks.
Yeah.
So the flywheel would have been this side, near the long base, where the cylinder would have been and crank. The other side, support bearing, would have been the flat belt up to that line shaft, that big
spoked wheel,
which lost its flat belt surface. That would have been directly driven off the engine. So that was the main power for the whole mill.
What was that other one next to it then? Because there's a small one where there was spokes again.
That's the one that ran the dynamo that sat down there. They had a dynamo down there which generated all the lighting. It just did lighting, nothing else. No power assisted inclines, it was all just for light. And it was only a small dynamo. I can remember the company that made it now.
One sec.
I did.
Right. Just jump down there a sec.
Can't see it now, can you?
Right, this is where they had the equipment.
The gas engine was in here.
Oh, crikey, like we were up here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is annoying. We're up here. I might cut a little bit of video in if I remember of Adam peeling this back. And all these nettles were in here about 2 months ago. There was nothing here. It was all just flat. But you pulled off where Adam's standing there, what was that then?
This was the gas engine retort. The gas engine was there. This is where they made the gas. Now the gas tank is actually underneath you in the floor there. I remember you could see the flange joint. Yeah, here it is. This is where the gas was stored. That's actually a reservoir under here for the gas. See the connection?
Oh yeah, yeah.
From memory, it's still full of water. Yes, it is, look. So there's a big tank in here. See it?
Oh wow.
There's a big tank. I don't know why they buried it in the ground, but they must have felt the need to. One day you won't be able to get to it because it sort of come down. But I said before, the dynamo was there. It wasn't. The compressor was there, and this used to drive the compressor. The dynamo was there, and they retrofitted a pulley up there. That's the remains of it. It was one of these bolt-on ones. Used to put bolt-on halves with like wire spokes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not cast like this, which
Yeah.
would have had to be fitted with the built it, because this was an introduction later on. They put a very large wheel there to drive the dynamo that was down there. So that's where the switchboard light was. So it's nowhere near this part of the engine room.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in this small room.
So we've got gas and we've got electrics in one room.
Yeah.
So that, oh, they had all the safety.
I don't know. They had compressed air in the corner
Compressed air in the corner to ignite it
Yeah,
all.
so that was the air feed into the
Feed
mine.
it all even, yeah. Wow.
So I don't know where they kept the air tank. And presumably this is part of the gas engine equipment. So that was the storage and filter tank scrubber. This was the retort, so I had to have brought coal in here somehow. It's interesting how the gas engine is right in the doorway. But you can see again here, these belt lines of the belt come down here and they align with the concrete. Do the wear in the concrete.
Yeah.
I feel fine, but you've got all this oil still leaching out the wall. Just as good as the day it was there, look. It's still
wow,
a lot
yeah,
of,
look at that.
all the oil in it. See, you'd think they just took the engine off, wouldn't you? But
It's
you give
crazy to think that this engine was what, 6 horsepower?
8 horsepower it
Was able to drive
everything.
the compressor, the line shaft driving all the machinery in here, and also that sand saw over there. Oh, and the electric dynamo. Is that only 6 horsepower?
It needed 8 horsepower. It needed to be bigger, really, because you think you got 3 saws in here in action,
Yeah.
3 diamond saws there,
Yeah.
crosscut saws, and then there's 4 rotary dressers, or 3 rotary dressers, I can't remember the number, behind them. So blocks came in here from obviously out the mine. I don't think the sandsaw did that. I think the sandsaw were cut big blocks. I think the smaller blocks were obviously dealt with in here, because if I go in here, James, I'll
1 sec.
I'll uncover some of the grass off them.
It's time to plug the pocket in again.
Is it?
Right, folks, apologies about that. I just had to plug the camera in. Right, let's have a look. All I can say is I hope the new version of this camera, if ever they bring one out, it's got better battery life, or at least change the battery in it. Right, look at this. Adam's annihilating the wildlife.
Well, to be honest, it didn't take long to grow here, so it'll grow back. But this is the crosscut saw marks. A lot of people don't know her here, but right,
Oh,
right after
they'll
me,
see it now.
behind me here, I can't think I can find
Is
it.
this wood?
No, the wood is here. They look like old railway sleepers from memory. They're lengthways that way. This, of course, is the diamond saws at work. Yeah, they run across here. This is the old drainage channel. They had water pouring on these saws. But of course, what they used to have is, because they've got a circular motion here, you can see, obviously the blades have come uphill here, but they cross-cut through the slabs. Now these slabs are all laid here, ready for use. There's a pile there, there's a pile here and there. These are ready for the morning's work to come in and cut them, and they never got processed. They're still here. I think this one here has had a cut through them. You can kind of see that's got a straight cut through it, but the others haven't been started. So they must have gone, oh, sod it, we're going home, and they never come back. But yeah, these are the marks from the diamond saws they had here. There's, I don't know if it was a concertina that would go the whole length of it, or it was just separate bays, because some of these have got drive bearings in here. But I think the line shaft operated the flat belt, because as they moved the saw around, they continuously had to drive the shaft on the machine here to keep the saw spinning at quite a high RPM. So I guarantee the load on that drive shaft must have been quite great to get this sort of circular speed onto a saw blade.
Which is there. isn't it? So was there a separate columns in here to support it, or did it like have a belt going onto these? Because this looks like this supported the roof probably.
Do you know what? There's not enough here to work that out.
Yeah.
You'd have thought they'd go up on the columns, wouldn't you? But
Yeah.
that's obviously the pitch of the roof.
Yeah.
They're not that high, aren't they? They're all matching height here. So chances are you'd think the line shaft ran across here, and there's nothing left of the wall now to work out where that was. But you've got another drainage ditch here, look, same stuff as there. Yeah, you've got a lot more, but I think this side doesn't have the marks in it from memory. This is just a normal drainage. So it's like the one behind us.
Yeah.
It's all granite, look.
Oh no, there is a few marks there.
Yeah, these are different though, aren't they? Look at that. So,
yeah.
these marks are different. They actually look like a sandsaw mark, don't they? Or something's been running here. Look. Something smooth's been running on it, look.
Or you could have just always cut along that one thing. Yeah, they just put the slab where it needed to be and then just use that to cut it.
It doesn't make much sense, does it? They're different marks. Totally different marks. That's like a flat mark here. So whether they had a planing machine working the backside of the saw, we don't know, but they're completely different. Yeah, I'll be interested to come up and have a look at it, guys, but the more this falls down, the worse it's going to be to see. But that was what I was told, and I'd love to see some sort of drawing or photograph of what these saws would look like. If you go this side, I think you can see some of the cast basins for it. Oh no, it's your side of this, but you can see where they were on there.
Oh yeah.
Obviously the drive shaft was in here, so we had to work round this. I'm guessing the line shaft would have been above them.
Must have been, mustn't it? Must have had a wheel on there that had a pulley going across or something.
I think you've got them here too, haven't you? Yeah, they're here as well, look.
Yeah.
Same cut marks, look. I think to work out the diameter of the blades off that. You know, see them here. That's gone into granite, that. So if that was a standard slate saw wheel, it would have done a lot of damage to it. You know, they obviously pulled the saw out of the way. The wagons would come in here, they've obviously moved the blocks off, put new ones on. But yeah, I don't... but I know
Crazy,
these...
isn't it? So these are blocks that just never ever...
Never got processed.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one of the bearings here, look. There's one. Look like carrier bearings to me. Look like something you'd spin anything high speed inside, look. See how they're...
Maybe they held a carriage or something that moved across it.
More larvae from ants, look.
There's
Loads of ants around here time of year. But yeah, you got this sort of pivot. They're not worn out either, do they?
No, it's probably just a little idler wheel, isn't it, that's sat on it.
There's one behind you, look, here.
Yeah.
You got two of them. So obviously they were in either wheels for the saw would have rolled back off it, you think, on tracks.
Yeah, hard to visualise, isn't it?
But you got the granite trough comes right the way up here, and on your side, so it must have been a very wet place to work. You know, considering a lot of water come up from the top of the reservoir up here and out the mine to cool and suppress the dust in here. Wouldn't have been a very nice place to work. Been very wet and damp. But good for the guys that split the slate because they've had all the nice dry blocks. But as I told you, the pile outside, that's blocks that never got sorted out or worked with, they're still sat against that building, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we'll not know. More information needed on this. What if we take a walk that way? I'll just show you those blocks actually.
Right, I'll join you in a second to do a memory card change.
Okay. Right. Yeah, so they've cut through these two, those two.
Adam's just done a bit more excavation.
Yeah. They were excavated once, but now so I reckon they've cut these up ready for processing because the saw marks go right through this one and this one. Now obviously you get a 10x20 slate easy out of them, or maybe bigger. What's interesting
big old slate, isn't it?
Is all these slabs are the same thickness.
Yeah.
Which means I think they've put a big block in the sandsaw and they've cut down it, then brought in here to cut through it. Because they're all the same thickness.
And the diamond saw just does a nice cut.
Yeah.
Ready for them splitting them.
So they haven't got much work at all, have they? They've only got to trim it. We'll not know, will we? Any experts out there, please write any ideas.
Yeah.
Be very nice to know.
See a bit more of the indentations in there where they've been.
Yeah, wouldn't have got away with a standard steel disc with that.
Diamond saws would have been expensive, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, but if you're getting this amount of production out of them, this is quite a high quality way of extracting slate, isn't it? To cut it down and then actually cut through it like this, because they're all the same thickness. That's the giveaway.
Yeah.
Unless you had a very good guy who split the slabs here, a very skilled chap who could get them split bang on to get the right surface, then that's just cut them there, didn't they, to get the... So there's a pile of them here, there's a pile there, there's a set here, and there's another set all laid out here. So you've got the 4 piles of slate ready to be...
It just never got finished.
It's like they have done the work of cutting them and then just left them, but like I said, go back to when I said that they had to be cut and worked when they were damp to get the best slate out of them. This makes sense, because as soon as they left them, they were no use.
Nope.
Oh, he's going mad.
Yeah, that is we're just as I changed the memory card, folks, there's a fella just walked past, so there's a few people wonder. That's the third person we've seen up here today, isn't it?
It's a Sunday afternoon, though.
Well, yeah.
Sunday stroll, all that.
There's a piece of that slate there, look.
It's not the best, is it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a slate expert, but it's one of these blocks off the floor, and I mean, you can see a vein in it. It does run.
Like I say, if this
just
is what
a bit off here, look.
it looks to me like they were doing this long before any other mine was doing it around the area. You have to see this degree of them left here.
Weird, isn't it?
It really is a window back into time with them, how they worked it. But this is no better than the stuff on Burring Quarry. That's obviously better for slab, but it's still the same age of slate. So this is how it's going to go in 100 years. It's going to look like this. And this was actually split naturally down the cleavage, wasn't it? But you can see a lot of the faults coming out of the rocks now. See the faults in the slate. See, when they worked it from the rock face, it wouldn't have had that visible at all. It's only taking time to show itself, which wouldn't have mattered to those people. But
so
yeah, I find this is
shut down for then. Is it just wasn't worth it anymore? Is it?
Wasn't making money.
No.
Don't make money, you don't keep it.
Yeah.
Weren't very good with the accounts either. The old door frame here. I remember this with red paint still on it. Not much red paint on it now. Yeah, that's how high the doors used to be, and we're all the way up here, look.
Yeah, it's just filled up with stuff, hasn't it, over the years?
The only door frame left.
Backpack's massive. Oh, got stung out. Great.
I'm not sure if that was a storeroom for the mill.
That little room there?
Yeah. They had somewhere to keep spare belts and discs and bearings and things, weren't they?
There's a big piece of metal sticking out there, look, see it?
Yeah, probably that was a line shaft ran right from the back here, right through.
Yeah.
It could have had
a big block of wood on it.
James.
Hey?
If you notice, those pillars are in the same height as where that line shaft sits. There would have been great big beams going across the roof.
Yeah.
Which would have carried that line shaft.
That makes sense.
Like you see in Minor Fern and
That's
them.
it, yeah.
The big mills. This is only small, but in the 20s, all the technology was around to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have a look at that
yeah,
there.
It probably was. Look at that
There's
big
the
piece
timber
of
off
wood.
it.
Timber. And you
Sat
got this.
on here. And you look along it, you're in line with it, aren't you?
Yeah. There's a big piece of steel. We look in line with that shaft there, look. That wheel. We probably were in this. Probably had a big piece of timber here.
They would have sat on top of the walls of the mill, wouldn't they? The whole length of the walls.
Oh yeah, so you would have had a big timber going across and then the line shaft was just sat on it, I guess. Yeah,
I'm guessing, I always thought this, that is the newest building on site. That's built out of mill ends.
Yeah.
Very square. These are built out of a bit of everything, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've actually put a lot of lime mortar in these pillars and the mill itself. They haven't skimped on it. They've spent a lot of money on it. You know, especially to go for the effort of this.
Yeah.
A lot of mills don't have the lime mortar in them. But yeah, it's yeah, you've got a storeroom here and you've got another one here, look. This has got quite a high doorway on it, which is interesting.
Maybe it's just so they could get in and lubricate the lime shafts, you don't know, do you? Strange.
See the water trough here, where I am here, look.
Oh yeah.
The tramway would have been here on top. this comes to here, obviously goes over there. But look at this piece of granite. Look at the shape of that.
That looks like the profile of the roofs inside the actual mine, doesn't it? You have to watch the other videos, folks, to see that.
So, yeah, you've got some slabs here stored, ready for...
Oh, yeah. Well, you can see probably see the edges there where they cut it. Maybe that's a sandstone because you can't see any of the ridges from the wheel.
It's that old, you wouldn't know, would you? Unless you're really lucky and fetching out the wall, which would show it. Yeah, looks like they had a timber. Everything's just fallen to bits now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an old railway sleeper, isn't it?
So you've got the start of the houses here.
So the cottages.
Yeah, because the wall's all just doing this now.
Yeah, it's just had it.
Delaminating and going.
Wow, look at the way that's the frost has gone to that. Is that slate? It is slate there. Look at that. Looks like a bit of wood, doesn't it?
I told you last time about the guy who's all been doodling on the windowsill down here and put the patterns on it. Yeah, it's a lovely finished piece of slate, that. Also, you had the windows here.
So what would this be like? Just an internal gathering area or something?
Yeah, it would have a roof over the whole thing. And probably would have... It's interesting that they built this. The miners would have done this. They wouldn't have, Quarry couldn't have done it. They must have done it for some protection.
Yeah.
You think about it, having a roof this big would have made this a warmer place. Probably would have used a lot of the heat in here to, might have had a door on the end, you see, keep the wind and rain out. Yeah, there's a doodler's windowsill, that one there. Yeah, it's the only one here. You can actually go inside the room now and appreciate how big it is. It does almost look like someone's been round here pushing stuff over. See how these have been stacked in here in the corner? It's almost like a slate maker's been in here and stored these inside here, leaned against the wall.
Well, do you think they probably just didn't have anyone up here towards the end? They didn't. No one stayed in here. Maybe, you know, towards the 20s and 30s. No.
6 to 8 people living in here, one window. All those farts. Yeah, they've all been notching in the slate board. Yeah. So they've been chiselling into it here. Look, can't you? Passing the time of day, even the evenings. A lot of it's very weather worn now, but yeah, you can see. Would have been a doorway in there, wouldn't there, once at the window. Not much of a roof on it, but yeah, look how this is all just pushed in.
A little nest in there, or was a nest.
Hmm?
See in there. Couldn't have been very warm, these places.
Thinking about it, if they were this close together and they're built onto that bank, it's quite dry really, isn't it? Because this is all built up ground. Probably the closest you get to the mountain.
Looked at as those trucks on the tips and then that thing in the floor.
I'll have a look over there. Oh, the cylinder.
Yeah.
The exhaust. Yeah, this is a different build altogether. These are all pretty unified.
Yeah.
You get here, look at the bloody state of them now. They're just all gone.
Yeah.
And there's like I don't know if this is a coal store, whether they had a fire here with a pipe through it as a tube for heating. I don't know. You don't know, do you, what this was used for? But that was for storing slabs up there. So whether the lads would put them in there at night time and just work them for the bit of pocket money. We'll have a walk over this way. But there's not much left of it all now, are there? That tree over there that's growing really big by the portal, that was tiny, that was. They're really small trees. And this one up here, they're all small, they were in the 90s. It's amazing the passage of time how big they've all gone. So obviously another storage area, stacking. This is the earlier tips from the... See how high this is here? So obviously they were tipping here before they started working the mill. And then obviously started tipping over the back after. You just find a lot of artefacts down this tip here. I found a fan cover, Jones & Co. London, down there once. There's all rails sticking out of the slates and all sorts down there. You used to be able to see them from here. Yeah, these are degraded quite a lot. I've got a photo of 20 years ago of these, and I keep referring to 20 years ago. This was a lot more, it was more coarse than this.
You can see the profile of the incline quite well there.
Yeah, going right down there.
Yeah,
you see the lower wharf where the sheep is? You kind of see the wall below the road comes up to it, and then the sheep is on top of the wharf.
Huh.
Really interesting, isn't it, how that was the first way of getting slate produce from you. But this has all gone into it, look.
You can tell it's much more modern workings, all this tip, because the blocks are huge, aren't they? There's a lot of kind of cast off, so we don't want this. And to think that all of these came out that set of saws, just all cast off.
There's a wagon body over there. Yeah. Right down there, look. See it? It used to be upside down, that.
I think we did actually film that, didn't we?
Yeah, on the way up.
On the way up. Again, folks, depending on how we film it, we have actually been up here, and a lot of artefacts along that wall. Depending how I edit this, you've already seen or you haven't seen yet. But yeah, look at the size of these. These blocks are huge, but all this stuff come from underground, didn't it? All this.
All of it.
Yeah, it's all come from underground, and what we're standing on now is pretty much exactly the same, all from underground. And if you stick around and watch the rest of the videos, you get to see us going under there, and then going, wow, there's some awfully large spaces, and that's where most of this came from.
There's a point here. Look.
Oh, we switched out. Yeah.
That's where all the water ran out the mill to there. Look.
Well, just filtered out. Down
Yeah, it would have gone
tip.
through this.
There you go. Left in action.
Yeah, it's interesting. The floor's been bent up on it. Look.
Yeah.
Don't really know why that's been done. You know, the wind ain't done it.
Dickheads, probably. You can tell it's old when it's riveted together.
Nice wagon though. So the handle's all bent in on the end.
Yeah, they did have a locomotive up here, did they? Or
no.
Everything was moved around by hand.
Whether they had a horse at a later date, I don't know, to take them round the corner there, but...
Yeah, the sheeps have been sort of hanging out underneath the side of it. Looks, you've still got the bearings there.
I think they retrofitted the handles here, you know. I don't think they were bought with handles on.
How old do you reckon these wagons are? They're like original to the early days.
We don't know. It's almost like they've repurposed stuff here.
Yeah.
Because this is different again. It hasn't got the same steerwork as that one, but the ones we've seen down the tips, they look like this.
Yeah.
They haven't got any side supports. So this to me looks like it's a very early one for Turner Brothers of Newtown. And what's strange, it's completely undamaged. It's all original. It's all still. That one's had repairs done to it. The one down there's had repairs done to it. The reins are the ones on the tip here, they've had repairs done to it. But this one hasn't had any done to it. We see how a rivet's failed here and they've put a bolt in it. They put the handle on with square nuts. But all the handles on them are different, so they must have been fitted by the blacksmith. You know, fantastic workmanship. Look how thick they were.
Yeah.
That is a thick iron top, isn't it? I mean, look at that, how thick that is. You know, they weren't messing around.
You know, the bottom of it's actually on a bit of track. It's still a bit of track there, look. Oh, yeah. Actually, it's been put there by someone by the looks of it. Yeah,
that's a point blade, that, look.
Oh, because it's
got a point to it. Yeah, the point has been put onto it, look. That's not corrosion, that's been done by a blacksmith, look. See how he's hammered it up?
Wow.
Whether he's made it as a fence post, I don't know, but it looks like a point to me, so I took the edge off it here. Yeah, it's been folded, look.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a point blade. Might have been the point blade off that tip over there.
Yeah, someone's just put it here for a photograph, haven't they? Very cool.
So we've got that cylinder in the floor.
Oh, the cylinder, yeah.
Which is... yeah, there's another run off of the water there from the mill and that sink.
Window.
Back of the storeroom. I'm sure it's coal they kept in here. Then you got this whole cylinder here with the fire bricks. A couple of fire bricks off the gas engine here, look. There's it. There's the bricks out the gas engine retort.
Wow.
And a bit of old wood here. Why there's wood in it, still saturated in oil and stuff like that. I don't know why this is buried down here, you know. Yeah, that's interesting. It's got a hole in the side. But it's interesting, it's got a gland in here and support. I was told it was the exhaust for the engine, the gas engine. Obviously, if you've got electricity in there, you don't want the exhaust in there, do you? But it's interesting how they've run it all the way out here to there. Doesn't really make much sense, but there it is.
So like a heater or something?
Well, I was told they use to send the exhaust for a tank to heat hot water. But this, why would this be in the ground? It would be out the ground, surely. But it's got a gasket here, look. See the gasket?
Yeah.
There's obviously a sealed fitting to it. It's probably had a stack sticking out of it. You don't know, do you?
No, it's pretty... yeah. Very strange, isn't it?
Does look like they've put a pipe on it.
Is there much in it? Is it just full of water?
Full of bits of rubbish and that.
Rubbish and crap and water, yeah. Interesting. It's just an odd place for it to be. But it probably stands to reason it's probably something to do with that in there. Because it's here.
Gas engine, I said turntables there, so the waste track would have come straight past here down there. There's access to this incline, access to the mill, access back into the mine and sand saw, and down here everything ran over one turntable. And from memory there's a lot of wear on that turntable. It actually did lock it in position. The interesting, it had lifting eyes in it to lift off and lubricate the underneath of it. So it's everything was thought of with it.
Crazy,
We actually saw more a couple of months ago, didn't we?
What's that?
You could see more a couple of months ago here.
Yeah, nature has attacked it. It is just growth, isn't it?
That line shaft's definitely holding them walls up now.
Yeah. It's cool to see it still there though. I mean, it's strange that everything else went. All the others have gone, yet that has remained.
See how vicious the scrapman was to smash all those spokes off.
Which lines up with the fact that you say that the incline failed and they just basically just give up.
Yeah, because why leave those massive halves of that flywheel over there? They're colossal pieces of cast iron. You know, that's a lot of money for scrapping them to leave it behind. All the rails are still here.
Yeah.
You didn't want the rails. That receiver tank's still there. You know, those big frame pieces, they would go quite easily back down the incline on a wagon like that.
Yeah.
You know, they came up here.
Yeah, because they took all the mechanism down. I mean, that would have been a lot of iron there, but left the weights. It's as if they kind of maybe just got,
Well, they're in the middle of stripping it because I was told there were still wagons here on the tracks with wheels on them.
Yeah.
They used to still have wagons here on this level. It was Well Dolbin told me he played up here in the younger years, and yeah, the wagons are still up here, sat on the tracks.
Wow.
I think over the years, as youngsters have come up here to mess about, which you would do, you'd play with them, but unfortunately they end up down the side of the tips.
Yeah. And then maybe taken away by people, opportunists, scrap.
Well, there's nothing here with any wheels on anymore. Even the wagon I introduced to the mine, someone's nicked the wheels off. There's a curse here, the wheels go missing. So I will be back with a new wagon, but it will not be living here. If people are going to take stuff.
You should really confuse everyone by actually removing the wagon that's down there. Take it, as in like just take it out.
Yeah, it's worthless now, isn't it? It's a shame because I brought it up for people to play with. Fun, isn't it? I had fun with it.
I think just about everyone else who's noticed it and put it online, there was a wagon. I looked in 28 days later, and yeah, it's what did I say? 2014. It still had wheels on. Folks were putting pictures up on their stories, and then after that, yeah.
Very sad that they had to do that. It wasn't doing any harm.
No, after 2014, someone went up there and cut the wheels off it. God knows why, but they were aluminium wheels, aren't they? So they probably won't weigh them in.
Nah, the crap are up here, eh? Trolley shite. But they were more fun up here than where they were when I had them. You know, people come here and have fun with it. That's a shame, that's people for you.
Weather's beautiful. Should we make our way down before it starts turning again?
I was going to go this way on the sheep track and down that tip.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at the wharf?
Oh yeah, there's sheep tracks here, isn't it?
Do you want to look at the wharf or not bother? Down there.
Which way's that?
Because you could have, it's just on the base of the incline through that bracken forest, which still got the outline of an incline through it, look.
Wow, yeah.
There.
Right.
The steps are really here.
We're back, just again doing a dodgy and filming whilst going up and down dodgy slopes, but there's an old sleeper there, or for you non-UK folk, a railroad tie.
Tyres?
In this part of the world we call them sleepers, not railroad ties, or I don't know, whatever countries call them. Railroad ties.
Big piece of timber. That's the one off the bridge, look. That's what's left of it. Yeah, look.
It's off the bridge, do you think?
Yeah. I just had the signalling wheels in the end, look. Remember showing you these last time? The pulley wheels in there, look.
That's weird. Oh, so that was a post then, not a...
Yeah. So it's some sort of signalling system on it.
Yeah.
Funny how they put wheels in there.
No, they're rotten.
They're exactly the same as the Great Western Railway signal wheels, look. So when they were changing the pulleys...
This wasn't a part of the bridge, it was a post for some sort of ancient signalling system to the bottom.
Well, if it was shoved in there, but there is a piece of timber
It's a
here.
very valid point. How would they have known that it was ready to go?
Yeah, with a big signal cable down or line of sight.
Flags or something. A whistle or some sort of horn, I don't know. What could that have been?
An old sleeper.
Yeah.
It's thin, aren't they, look? Not very big. See where the spikes were sat there with the rail going across. They always rot round the spikes because the wood doesn't like the metal in them. Yeah, some air piping. There is a piece of line shaft.
Is that a piece of... Do you reckon that's a sleeper from further up though?
Yeah, it's up there. The ones on here are really big things.
And there's 3 tracks, wasn't it, under this?
3 rails. There's just pieces of wagon everywhere, look, isn't there?
Yeah.
Flat bar and just stuff all over the place. Now that piece of wood's gone, long gone. There's a big piece of timber.
So you were saying when we were walking around up here that you reckon there probably is a few bits of track still underneath this in places?
I remember rails here. There were still incline rails by here on this section of track here.
Yeah.
And I think as a kid, I dug a lot of it out to see how much was left. So I reckon if I did start digging there quite profusely, you'd find quite a lot, because there was quite a big wall here.
Yeah.
It's just all delaminated, come down, that matched all this. But sadly it's all gone. That's an interesting piece of steel there with some crank lever on it, look. See it?
Oh yeah. We'll just look
a load of drills, holes, like a letter T on the end.
I wonder what that is. Strange.
Part of a signalling equipment, probably. There's that timber. Not much left of it now, look. Yeah, see the part of the wall here, look. They got line shaft behind you there, James. Yeah. With another smashed off gear.
I wonder where that was. Maybe that was in the workshops.
That's thinner, isn't it, that?
Yeah.
Smaller gauge.
So it's either that or it's come off when it was being taken out for scrapping.
Another sleeper there.
You see they just smashed them to bits to get them down in more manageable pieces.
Another sleeper off the tramway. Quite a lot of stuff ended up down here. There was the remains of a wagon frame behind you there. There's a sleeper behind you, but there was actually a wagon frame with axle boxes behind you there once. That's gone now.
Oh yeah, there's a sleeper there, look.
All the axle boxes are on it, James, and the axles. That's now gone. It was roughly where you are. It was there for years. Right, a bit of rail here, look.
Oh, okay, so there we are.
Rail.
Do you reckon that's actually in place, or?
It's moved, hasn't it? There was a lot of rail on here, all moved around, but I think from memory down here, the cable's back. There's the cable.
Oh yes, there we go. So there we are, people. Oh.
You got a cable on the rail.
I just slid on the rail, so there's a bit of rail, and there we have the cable's still there. Look, I haven't found a bit more of it down here. There's a big piece of rail goes all the way along there, down here. There's there again.
Slippy here, James.
It's interesting, the rail's kind of almost in place with the cable, isn't it?
Cable's still here, look.
Yeah, yeah.
That's still stretched out on the ground.
Yeah.
Very rusty here. Now, from memory, there was a flat belt wheel here.
Bracken. Yeah, none of this was here. A couple of weeks, about 2 months ago.
Nothing was, but now it's all back.
Yeah. But,
we were going to come down, didn't we?
We just didn't have the time, did we?
Nope.
We were like, we did a lot more research on, because we were at that point, we were filming a lot around the Fotty, Boyd and Diffwith quarries up in Llangollen, and we were doing a lot of research on that online, and Adam was freaking looking through loads of books, and we found some evidence of where we might be able to access some of the old workings, so we spent a lot more time down there. You can't see anything here, unfortunately, now.
From memory, there was a water closet cistern over there somewhere in this bracken, just there. There's like a bit of a ditch. And round here, there's remains of a belt wheel, with the ones you put onto the shaft, you bolt onto it.
Yeah.
There's one here somewhere, there's two halves of it. I think you find one on the incline, quite a big thing, and the other half's here somewhere.
Yeah.
So, whether they're still here, I don't know, but
yeah,
there used to be so much stuff here. It's all just, I don't know where it's gone.
It's a bit of a...
It's just disappeared. Well, there's a piece of, oh, there's the cistern. There it is. Yeah, look at this.
So we're just on the edge of a quite a built up.
Mind it here. There's the tank. Bit of rail there, look. That's the old tank.
Let's just come down. Crikey. Oh.
Yeah, they are. Oh, that's the blacksmith's water tank, look. See, the nozzle would have been bolted on here.
Bear with me, folks. Just got it.
Yeah. It's a blacksmith's thing. So I said the forge used to be up there in that building just there.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the blower nozzle would have been, there, into the fire. And this is the water tank.
Wow.
So this is all missing, but that's where the nozzle would have bolted on. Looks like a drain hole there.
Again,
yeah,
you reckon it's just fallen off, or some idiots lobbed it down here?
You don't know, dear. I mean, there was a load of scrap on a wagon descending when it broke loose.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I remember you saying. Well, again, folks, you might have already heard us talk about that if you.
I'm determined to find this wheel, James. The belt wheel's here somewhere. You come across it on here, but there's no chance of bloody finding it now, is there?
Oh.
There's bloody bracken everywhere.
Sheeps aren't happy.
Yeah, I cannot see it at all now.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's just so much of it. Bracken.
Not here. Yeah, it's in there somewhere.
Oh, but there we go. We've got the wire again. Look. You see it there?
Oh, it's there. Someone's put it over there, look. So this is the first wharf. This is as far as the incline used to come.
Oh, the original?
Yeah, to here. And if you look behind you, they built the level up here to make it clear this cutting. To get a bit more of a lay of the incline, you can understand it here. They've obviously cut a shallow cutting here, and then a really deep cutting. But here they've had to build it up.
Yeah.
Because the original incline angle, if you look up the top of the quarry, it's a different angle to this piece here. This is consistent. But that bit isn't, it's a sharper angle. So obviously the wharf was here. This was the original loading wharf. And they used to bring all the carts up to here. And the wall ran across here. There's part of the line shaft belt. This is the one I told you about. They increased the diameter of it to power the dynamo. See how it's got the bolts in it? To increase the diameter of the belt.
Oh, okay.
To make it spin the dynamo faster.
Yeah.
Obviously, to get a bit more load on it, they increase the diameter of it. That's the only reason they'd have done this. Just to bolt a wooden surface on it.
Oh, there's a bit of wood still on it.
wooden surface, so obviously blocks of wood on it. All these bolts. Someone had the job of drilling all these. And they obviously two halves with a centrepiece here were cast in and used to bolt both of them onto the line shaft to pick up a drive, because when they installed it here they actually slid all the line shaft on and built it off site, so when they came to site they'd assemble it in the mill. But the other half of this is actually up there somewhere in there. There's a bit more of a casting over here I've seen. But yeah, this is the 1860s loading wharf.
And it would have been horse-drawn carts from here to wherever it was needed.
That looks like it's come off on the wagons coming down the quarry with a slit of the waste on it. Look at the size of that casting.
That's just sheared off.
Smashed off here.
Wow.
But what is it? Is it off the sand store? You know.
Hell of a thing, isn't it?
It's been smashed with a hammer.
Yeah, so it's cast iron. That
Scrapmen have been here, haven't they? But yeah, this is the original dispatch wharf for the quarry. Obviously, and this goes all the way down to Llydiot Park. This road, this was built for this. The original Drovers Road below us down here.
So Llydiot Park, so this is that gradual slope which goes all the way down there.
Yeah.
Which everyone says it's the miners' road, don't they?
Yeah, the Drovers Road comes across there.
Oh, there's the other half of the wheel.
Oh, it's there now, is it?
You should reinstate it, put it next to each other.
Yeah, go and get it. You wait there. You work out where the Drovers Road went down there.
Oh,
and they built this for the wharf. Quarry.
So this This is probably where we'll finish this bit of video.
Hell. Fuck, that's heavy. You know what that is, don't you? Excited. That's the sandsaw blade. That's actually one of the sandsaw blades off the sandsaw. That's how big they were. But it's not that worn either, look.
How do you know that's a sandsaw? Because it's got a ridge on it.
There used to be quite a lot of these around here. But yeah, that'll be flat. And there's that's the incomplete part. So people have been messing around with the bloody things, haven't they?
It's nice to see something like that, isn't it? You'd almost take it back up there and reinstate it.
That would have been
like that.
On the shaft. So yeah, wooden blocks to make it drive. More surface area, small speed. That was heavy. I better get a picture. I might have beer next time we come back.
No.
Right, things are moving from here.
And then Adam says this is a sandsaw blade. Probably makes sense. There's a few random holes in it, isn't there?
Oh.
Just a piece of steel.
Looks like a piece of steel, but if that's flattened out, if you look, that's the thickness difference. Yeah, thin as hell. Thin as hell, thick. So, see?
Were they specifically made for sandsaws then?
Yeah.
They probably would bought them in.
They have a Sheffield firm used to make them for them. But yeah, that's actually an old sandsaw blade. So it's very, very thin in here, and you've got the thickness that side. But yeah, that's off the saw up there. So it makes more sense that when they were scrapping things here, this was all...
Wow.
It's obviously snapped, hasn't it? Someone's folded that to put it in the wagon.
Yeah.
You can see the fold joints, can't you?
Yeah.
Obviously, to pack it on the wagon for a load of scrap, to maximise your, you make things smaller. That's what they've done with that. Share about this though.
Well, at least you found it.
Yeah, it was up
here.
there. The cistern's still there. No one's bothered that because it's in a bog of water. But yeah, this is the original horse and cart wharf here.
So I find that fascinating because I just assumed, like probably a lot of folks did, that this quarry always served the old main line. The main line, as in the incline went all the way down,
and you've got
under the A5 and met the railway.
And you've got the remains of a footpath down to the Penarth cottages, which are just here. We're going to go and see them now. But yeah, this was all engineered out to extend this incline. It never used to be on an embankment here. The only one was lower down. And obviously brought it up to get over this rise in the ground. I mean, you're talking 150 men working here. It was a 5-year period to get the quarry reorganised. That's a long incline to install. You know,
a lot of effort went into it, didn't it?
1863 to 1865. It's you know, 2 years' work. We're going to build an incline down there, lads. You know, amazing. It's not we can't do it. There's a can-do attitude, and they found a way and they did it. And it worked.
I've probably said we've already walked
the
all
wall
the way
of
along
artifacts.
Here. A wall of artifacts. You'll see that. There's no point us re-recording that. I've already got that.
I think we'll go, James? We're losing light now.
I think so, yeah. Well, if we have a look at these cottages, which I can't remember whether we filmed on the first time. I think we were so wet because the first time we came here, it was beautiful weather like this. We went underground just as it started absolutely coming down, so we couldn't film a lot of the overground because it started raining. Hence the visit today, because we knew we'd have to come back and do it.
Overground's
important.
Because those that can't get underground, it'll make more sense to you.
Yeah, but I'd really want to get this video out now because next week I have no video to go out. Everything I've got built up.
You can see down there, sorry to interrupt, you can see the base of the producer gas engine retort.
That's where it is.
The base there, actually measured it coincides with the concrete foundation in the engine shed up there.
Which hopefully I'll remember to put in because there's Adam...
less growth.
Yeah, he peeled up the grass and you could see the growth. But when we were up there just about 20 minutes ago, you've just seen on this video, you could see that there's just nettles everywhere. We just got stung to buggery if we'd even attempted it.
They normally get worse than that too in height and size.
Yeah.
So here we are, Penarth cottages. I think there's 8 houses here, 8 cottages here, with a back cold store in the back of the hill. So here, there wasn't a back entrance, this is where the cold store was positioned. Living quarters at the front. So you got one cottage here, there's another one here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these are all the coal stores in the back. There was a well just up there where that tree's growing out the bank.
Yeah, just
that gorse tree. That's where the well was.
I mean, they're tiny, aren't they, these things? They see.
You prefer to live here than up in the quarry.
Oh, hang fire.
You're walking that far, aren't you? And you're away from the... Yeah.
Sorry, fella.
Where are you up to?
Can't remember.
Right, okay. So just at the back of the houses here, here's the old coal store for the cottages. I say houses, cottages. There was 8 cottages all the way along the front here, over there. Every 2 houses had the same coal store in the back. Fresh water was by the well just up there with the gorse tree. You can just see come out the bank. We did look at that on the way up. It's basically a stone box that goes into the hill. There was the stream diverted at the end of the cottages here to run down to the gate to get fresh water or any washing they were doing in the day. But to say the front, there's a stone path on the front of the houses. If you want to come and look, James, you can see the just about where that was. But they weren't very big, were they? Almost like this had an interconnecting door between the two here. No door here, but there's a back door. So it could have been that later on they devised these for families and moved the workers up into the mine and had families occupying these cottages because they're a nicer place. They're away from the quarry, you know, had fresh water and, well, I think they're a nice location. They're edged in granite on the cornices of the doors, obviously from the top of the quarry. A lot of granite around here, but you see the front path obviously ran across here, the full width of the houses. Sadly, they've all come down. You've got some J.C. Evans roof tile here, or bricks. Yeah, look at this. They've had coal fire in them then, look. Yeah, machine, yeah, hand cut brick, hand cut, yeah, not machine pressed. Hand wire cut bricks, so yeah, that's earlier on, the 1860s, imperial as well, nice. So yeah, got some foxgloves here. So yeah, I think these must have been turned into family houses. I've not noticed that before, people. That's completely new to me. The front door was here, obviously creating a lounge, and obviously a back room must have been the bedroom. So 2 rooms, just not much more than what you get in the old houses in Blaenau. Whether it's 2 up or down, 2 down, I don't know. There's no photographs survive of these. Only for what you can see here you can make out, but for a long time you couldn't see these. There's a lot of bracken always covering these and you didn't know they were here, but the last 10, 15 years have shown themselves again to the world, which is nice to see because there's a beautiful view here away from the quarry down the valley. Also you had a road down here, this took you to Bonham. And on the other side, to the right, there was the pack horse track from the mine wharf down to Llydiathy Park. Obviously had a shop in Llydiathy Park back in the day, as well as the Carrog post office, but that was one of the shareholders of the mine. He lived there. So what else I said, I'll show you the water course if you want, over here. Yeah. Just walk away from the camera. But, I don't know much more about them than what... Hey, up, where are you going? Whoa, destruction. You can still see part of the coal cellar there, look. There's a piece of roof still on it in the corner. You do have some water. Interesting place to build houses. So there's the water supply diverted for the cottages. Looks like a lot of the buildings have just collapsed here into the stream. There's not much left of them at all. But there you are, these are Penarth cottages. Now there is further down the path here, I haven't located them yet. There's 2 shafts down here, at a trial level, but they're right down the road as we leave the quarry. I only knew about these until 2 years ago. So not sure what they were trying to get in the area here is not known. But, sink some shafts. They're probably the closest ones I've seen to anywhere else around here that put shafts in the ground. Right, so there you have it. Row of 8 cottages in a row for the mine. And then of course the predominantly view you can see is the latter working tips.
Right folks, thank you so much for watching so far. That concludes our above ground exploration of this quarry. So I hope you all enjoyed that and found that really useful. As you can tell, Adam's done a lot of research on it, speaking to people who are no longer with us, families, and doing a lot of research online, and also looking at old maps online, looking at old survey maps from way back when and trying to work out dates of when things were and what they were and how they were laid out back in the day. So with the next video coming up, we start exploring underground. So I know that's probably what everyone's looking forward to. I always like the underground stuff, but we do like to film the overground stuff because often that's the bit that everyone kind of forgets about, really, I think. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and please enjoy. Thank you very much.